In a recent 3-day immersive workshop, we decided to try something very risky and to teach nothing. This was a room full of professional engineers that by the end of this 3-day workshop were producing professional grade PRs in a repo they had never seen before, in a language they didn't know. This story was just too important for me to not share. A very close friend of mine and myself were approached with, let's call it an opportunity, not too long ago to bring together a group of very high-end engineers, very intelligent people, but traditional engineers with a little bit less AI experience, and train them in AI in a very short period of time, 2 days, to see if we could create a team that could action in any domain that they'd never seen before, and even technologies that they might not fully understand going forward. Now, I'll be honest, this was a daunting task, and we didn't think that we were going to be successful at this, but we decided to give it a shot and set forth on a path to try to start creating a curriculum that might enable a set of engineers to really be able to be successful in the future of AI engineering. And, well, that in and of itself kind of represented the challenge. Okay, we worked for several months to try to come up with a curriculum that would really be able to enable these engineers. And we really got to handpick these engineers, so they were going to be able to absorb a lot of this content very quickly. But our question remained, no matter what we taught them, was it valuable for any output? Was this going to be the thing that really enabled them for everything in the future? And really much more important than that, and this is really the cornerstone of what caused all of the chaos in our workshop as we were developing it, would it even be valid? So when we look 2, 3, 4 weeks down the road, much less 2 or 3 months down the road, if I was teaching you something today, would it actually be useful when you really needed to use it if that was the only thing you understood 2 months from now? That was the actual question. So first, let me contextualize this a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to share a video with you that Anthropic released recently. It's a fantastic video showing one simple premise, which is they have something like ChatGPT. They call it Claude AI. They asked each one of their models, from their earliest model all the way up to the models that they very recently released, to try to rewrite Claude AI. Now, that may sound simple when you think ChatGPT, you type in a request and it gives you a response, no big deal. But when you really start talking about the many things that you can do inside of ChatGPT with different canvases and vibe coding and all of the different things you can do, it's a very daunting task, and that's exactly what they asked their models to do. Let's take a quick watch at this. So can Claude Code clone Claude AI? We asked a few models to try. They went all the way back to Claude 1, which was March 2023. And way back then, these models could not call tools, which is required to be able to do this kind of thing. Claude 2, 2.1 couldn't do it. Claude 3 actually could, but couldn't really move forward with it. Claude 3.5. Now we're talking June 2024. Wrote a lot of code, but couldn't get the server to run. That sounds familiar. Claude or Sonnet 3.6 was October 2024. We're talking roughly a year ago. It had problems getting API keys to work. Claude 3.7. Now this is the beginning of this year. This one wrote a lot of code, but could not get any of the messages to send appropriately. Moving to 2025, Sonnet 4 wrote a whole system that actually worked, but then it broke it and it couldn't fix it again, which also sounds very familiar. That's only a few months ago. This moves up to current day Sonnet 4.5, wrote tons of code, and actually completely performed the task after 5 hours of work, fully functional Claude AI app. That's incredible. All right, and so why exactly did I share that? So I think, first off, fantastic video, great to see the progress over time, but also really we're talking in the last 3 or 4 months, we've gone from fully functional application development systems that can write real code, but it's kind of crunchy code. We always had to kind of piecemeal things together, all the way until today, where it can write full-blown systems. Now, why is that important? Well, what we learned 3 months ago isn't valid today. We can use some of the information that we learned 3 months ago to help us understand what's going on today, but it really is not the same thing. So saying, oh, I learned how to write agents 5 months ago, look, I'm telling you, you need to go back to the well again. We've talked about this. I've said this on the channel many times. This is an iterative process of learning. We're going to have to continue to learn. I've worked for years now trying to understand the best patterns to use with these systems, these generative AI systems, to be able to build software going forward. And that has been an ongoing mission to continue to understand, do we need PRDs? Do we need large asks, small asks? Do we keep breaking down context, the context engineering, the different prompts that we're using? There's tons and tons of different changes that have happened just this year alone. This year has been the biggest set of changes, not surprisingly, and the last 3 months have been even bigger when you really take it in whole. So we're talking about these brand new models that can action and create whole systems for us. That was not possible only a few months ago. So this brings us back to the story of my buddy and I spending months trying to create courseware, recreating the courseware again and again. I can't describe to you how many times we wrote out our systems of here are the different components that we're going to teach, here are the different techniques that we're going to teach. And in the end, we kept coming back to that same pesky problem, which is, will this be useful by the time this team hits the ground and actually has to work? And the answer was almost invariably no. We don't believe what we teach them today will be valid in 2 or 3 months. Full stop. So what we really need to teach them is they need to learn how to learn again. This is not the old days of how we used to learn. So 4 days before the conference started, before we were going to teach this workshop, everybody's flights had been set. Everybody was coming in. My buddy and I went through one last review of our content to figure out, are we really going to be able to teach this and they become active? All of those answers were essentially no. So we took a very risky to us move and said, all right, how about if we don't teach anything? We're not going to teach any of the things we've been talking about. All we're going to talk about is how to be successful learning how to use these systems and how to use these systems as actual thought partners everywhere, not just in engineering, your daily life, everywhere. Okay. Day 1, everybody shows up. My buddy and I walk into the room. We are definitely nervous at this point because the whole idea is we were going to have a bunch of slides and coursework and repos for them to come in and learn from, and we were going to share stories about things. All of that's out the window. This is now a conference about nothing. Congratulations for joining us. We're not going to teach you anything, but hopefully over the next 2 days that we don't teach you, on that 3rd day, you'll be successful. So the first day, introducing them to some of the tools, Claude Code, Codex, things like that, the newer operating tools that are out there, how to use models, some general kind of concepts, those kinds of things. Of course, we're trying to just share the basic fundamentals of what makes all of this work. But really the major message is what I was just covering in a much larger forum, but basically saying, listen, you have to approach these models in a way, and this intelligence layer in a way that it's working with you and that you're not trying to find its faults. You're actually trying to find what it's good at and use that to your benefit. Y'all are working on systems and problems together. Use it for what it's good at, and you do the part that you're good at. And in fact, assume that that will change because 2 weeks from now, 6 weeks from now, that parity will be different. And you might be able to unplug much, much more and ask it to do much more work. So just imagine that that's what we've taught you in these first 2 days. And now we're going to magically transition to day 3. Day 3, my buddy and I walk in the room, whole bunch of people there that are very nervous, professionals that really want to show that they know what they're doing. We've enabled them. There's been a lot of conversations up this point and had some dinners and people having conversation across tables saying, this has really changed my mind already. So we think we're on to something. Day 3, we walk in, we tell everybody, here's a repo URL, clone the repo locally. You've never seen this repo. You're unaware of it. You, in fact, don't know the language that it's written in. Fantastic. This is all of a sudden that surface area that we were worried about, brand new. We go over to the board, we write up 5 problems. So these are 5 different tasks to be concluded inside of this project. The goal is create 5 professional PRs, and these are professionals in the room, so they know what the shape of that is. So this is a pretty high bar on the kind of things that they need to code. 5 professional PRs, one at a time. Don't work on all of them at once. Once you finish one, you move to the next. And so what you need to do is take each one of these requests, which is basically a feature request inside of this open source repo, features that are being asked for by the community, and it is a very complex repo. You're going to need to take these feature requests and create solutions for them and create PRs that would be acceptable by the repo owners. It's a pretty large task. So we put 5 of them up in a row, and the easiest ones first, hardest ones last. Let's see how far they go. Now, admittedly, at this point, my buddy and I, we leave the room. We've been talking about this all night. We're stressed out about this because we're not sure if they can't move forward at all, if they hit number 1 and go, no, this is impossible, or if they rush through them and finish them all. We have personally run through this ourselves previously, but certainly not within a 1-day time frame or anything like this. So we don't really know how capable they're going to be. We did poll them before leaving the room and asked, how does everybody feel? Does this feel achievable? And basically the outcome of that polling was, feels very impossible. This is daunting. We don't understand how we're going to move forward with it. From there, we went back into the room a few times as kind of counselors to be able to answer questions or resources to be able to kind of talk about the feature requests that we've put on the board. And in the beginning, they're asking questions about repositories and how to commit things and the typical things that you might imagine from an engineering standpoint. Interestingly, as we continue to come back into the room during the course of the day, the conversations are very wild at this point. Lots of engaged conversations between people, which is very, very healthy. And the questions they start asking us are more and more sophisticated and less about the repositories and less about the actual project itself or the feature sets themselves, and just clarity on what the spec is, what the change is, what some of the features that we're asking for are. And that's very encouraging to us. So by the end of the day, here's the culmination of everything. We had all of these engineers. They could work together. They could work solo, any way they wanted to work to get this solved. They had all of those choices in front of them. Some did work solo. Some did work in groups. The ones that worked in groups, almost all made it through all 5. 80% made it through 4. We had no one that was stuck at the beginning. And so this is kind of a fantastic finding, that you put people enabled with these new tools and these new techniques, kind of a new engineering technique of understanding that AI is there to help describe things, define things, and solve things for you. And they can really move the world. And so that was very interesting to see. All of these people independently had 5 changes in a repo in a language that they do not know in 1 day. I would say, think about the repos that you work in, especially if you work in an enterprise. Can you do 5 meaningful and complex changes in 1 day on that repo? I know most of the repos that I work in, I cannot. So this uncovering of, wait, there's a way forward here. Not everything's going to be so perfect, but at least there's a clear path to success using this stuff going forward. It was a fantastic day, a great finding. Everyone afterwards admitted they absolutely did not expect that they were going to be able to even touch number 1 as they started. And by the end, they all said, this is absolutely a path forward. They absolutely will be using this kind of technique going forward with anything that they do. And it's that discovery that's really most important that I would love for you to be able to take away from this story, which is allow yourself to open up a little bit, push back on some of your older engineering practices or your older beliefs on how learning and other things like that work, and just allow yourself to say, this is a new space. It's changing all the time, as we saw with the Anthropic video. I have to keep reevaluating what does work and assuming that it will get better over time, or at least change over time, and I have to adapt to that. And it's my role to try to find what the models can do successfully and figure out how to enable them just to do that. And then I'll do the other parts that I'm good at. And that's the way to start scaling myself. So I found this experience very, very insightful. It was very interesting to see. We were nervous as heck about basically teaching nothing, but in the end, it really obviously was the right direction forward. And I do believe this team is enabled for the future to be able to really kind of move the world in a lot of ways. I hope you enjoyed this story. I know it got a little bit long, but I really wanted to share it with you. I think it's an important one, and I hope you found something in it. Thanks for coming along for the ride on this one, and I'll see you in the next one.